there should be a the budget's included in this, correct?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah. no problem.
And then
We have a separate resolution from the packet coming. Yes, well, I told him what the one that was signed is what. Yes. I assume you guys do something.
Jen, the camera can't get you back there.
Huh?
Do we need to move
Oh, they're out? It's hit me now, I'm sure.
Said something decent, you're on there.
this is,
If it has the even pages, it's the right one. I'll take the crappy
I'll
one.
take it.
Okay.
you did not have one.
You don't have one? You don't have one? Yep.
Well, 6:03, I think we can get started, should bring all that other stuff in. Let's call a meeting to order, 6:03, September.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I've been told we need to buckle our seat up on the meeting. Everybody buckle up. I think the first thing we're trying to do is let's approve the minutes of August 3.
I make a motion to approve the August meeting minutes.
Second,
Been properly, motion's been properly made and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All carried by ayes. Who has it?
I'll get it, you go ahead and move forward.
The packet is just CIP and budget.
Yeah.
That packet of paperwork is just the CIP and budget.
Actually, I don't see it. Jan, did they make a copy of the sign for the minutes? You know,
Everything's in your binder. In front, you're looking for the sheet signed for the minutes,
yeah,
everything should be in your binders.
fine, all this. Awesome. Thank you.
Welcome.
Well, we approved them. I guess it's Mickey and Abby for the capital improvement plan.
I just end up there, turn that way, but.
It doesn't matter to me. Whatever you want.
Maybe it won't, hopefully I'm showing up, it won't, yeah. Hi, hello. I'm gonna have the bulk of the crappy stuff that's gonna probably take a while tonight. So the first part is the CIP or capital improvement plan. One thing I do wanna note, this is a planning document only. Well, let's go through your packet first, just to confuse you all a little bit more.
Which one? The one that you just gave us?
Yes.
Just was reprinted?
Yes. So the first page is the Form 3, well, it's page 2, the notice to taxpayers. This is the official public notice of the budget. Now, one thing to note is you will note on the budget estimate column 2, this amount is drastically higher than the Form 1 budget on pages 3 through 7. And there is a specific reason for that. What we advertise on the Form 3 is the highest levy and budget you will be allowed to pass. So we always make this higher. and what the actual budget is gonna be, because there's about a month time difference between our public hearing and the adoption meeting. So if anything changes, you wanna add anything, if we've already hit our max on the Form 3, we can't do that. So that's why your Form 3 is so much higher than the actual budget you will likely adopt in a month. You'll notice we do have 3 excess levy appeals, well, 4. The 2,600, and the 450 are allocated the AV growth, which this will also get addressed in October, but just for you to consider for the next month. The township is eligible for the 3-year AV growth, which means the township's assessed value, the average growth of the last 3 years has exceeded the state's average by at least 2%. And you are eligible to get that assessed value to increase your maximum levy beyond the 4% growth allowed. This is the last year this is allowed by current statute. You're also eligible for a fire levy appeal for the same qualifications. So I will be asking your permission to file that appeal in October. But once again, if we don't put it on the Form 3, even if we apply for it, we will be denied because we can't obtain anything more than what is on the Form 3. So you still have the ability to deny this if you would like. However, we just, on the safe side, put it on the Form 3. Any questions?
Is there a reason why we would deny it?
It might slightly increase your tax rate, but that's about it. The next pages 3 through 7 are the actual line item budgets for all the forms. You will see there is a published column and an adopted column. Right now, they are the same just because I don't want to forget to change something, so I just hit the pretty little copy button in Gateway, and it automatically copies it. When we have your actual budget adoption meeting, if there are any changes, the Form 1 is where we will change them. And when that time comes, I'll reprint this so you know exactly what you are approving, and there's no question about it. But this is the line-by-line detail of everything. And you'll notice, so on the Form 3, the grand total is 8.6 million, but the actual total for Form 1 for all funds on page 7 is 7.9 million. So we do have that buffer in case anything needs to go up. So that like I said, that discrepancy was intentional. I just wanted to make sure you understood why.
Which one is going away? You said there's one that is going away. This is the
The
last.
excess levy appeals, column 3 on the Form 3 on page 2. This is the last year that the Indiana legislature has allowed us, any unit of government, to file an excess levy appeal.
So line 3 will be going away, right?
Yes,
It's line 4. The appeal for each time.
oh, I'm sorry, look, it's column 4. 3 is your total tax levy, including any excess appeals.
When you say going away, will you clarify, it doesn't mean that that fund will
No.
no longer be there next year. It just means we will not be able to apply for those additional funds going forward. Just
Yes.
want to make sure there was a,
And
Yeah,
this is,
this is last year, we can even apply for it.
yes,
It's
and-
not even available after this.
correct, and this is a permanent appeal, which means it will become your new maximum levy. So it's not like next year they'll take it away and reduce your levy again, it's a permanent growth. But yes, this is the last year that anybody can apply for them.
So versus you get a certain amount, but you just can't apply for extra of it.
Correct,
Is what you're
and
saying.
it will no longer grow the 4% based on the current statute, as it has in the past several years. On page 8, you will see a forecast, and for liability reasons, these are projections only, like they're not guaranteeing anything. So we have actual results, and this is for the township as a whole, not broken down into funds. If you would like that detail, I'm happy to provide it. I just thought for this purpose, it might be easier to see it as a township whole. You have actual amounts for 22, 23, and 24, current budget amounts for 25 in bold, our current revenue projections in 26, and our current expenditure, or our budget in 27. I do want to note a couple things in revenue. So we have not put in the excess levy appeals in the property tax column because those are not guaranteed revenues. So we don't want to basically count the chickens before they hatch. Also, the income tax supplemental is no longer here because once again, it's not guaranteed. It's set by state statute formula on if the state can calculate its figures correctly or not. The other column, the 807, 742, is primarily made up of the $750,000 in the last year of the MOU from the county.
Say that one again.
The 807, 742, the other in the revenue, the majority of that is the $750,000 awarded by the county as part of the 3-year MOU.
The majority of that.
Yes, the rest is interest, reimbursements, community rentals. And that's those other items are made up of a 3-year average, excluding the 750. So as you will see, revenue growth is projected to be 2%, whereas our budget is growing 6%. And if we spend 100% of what the budget is currently, we will be at a current year, or the deficit after next year of 118,000. Moving on, the rest of this is all about the capital improvement plan. So page 9 is the version that Mickey and Brandon have created with their pretty little colors. The state does want this in a specific format, so the other pages, except for the last page 15, is just in the DLGF's format. The pages 11, 12, and 13 are actually 11, 10, 11, and 12 are regarding the 30% transfer. So the state, in its wisdom this year, has demanded that if all your unrestricted funds, so for the township would be your general and rainy day, 30% of the unrestricted funds will be transferred to a city, town, or county for road and infrastructure improvement. By putting them into the capital improvement plan, we have restricted it. So the state has said if it's a part of your capital improvement plan, it's restricted and not available for transfer, which is why you'll see on page 10, we have a projected adjusted cash balance January 1st of 27 of negative amounts. Now this is a planning tool. This doesn't mean the township has the authority to spend any of this money in the capital improvement plan. So you have to keep several things straight, which is very confusing for myself. The budget and capital improvement plan are not one and the same, and they do not have to agree. So, like I said, the budget is what you all will allow the township to spend next year. The capital improvement plan is just a way to restrict the funds and as a generic planning tool. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Does it make sense?
Just question back up. The 2% growth and expense goes 6. So is that just on the capital improvement stuff or the total?
That's the total for township.
Budget too?
Yep. So those percentages were calculated by taking,
So do we tighten our belt and get closer? Or did we just?
Well, we're not really tightening the belt, but we are adjusting our revenue forecast. So previously, we had always included the levy appeals in the supplemental lit, but because those are no longer actually guaranteed, and I'm not confident the state will give them, since they are going away, I did not want to include those. I want this to be like bonus cash, that if we come back with and we win it, and the state awards it, then you all could have extra money to appropriate somewhere else.
But to me, in planning a budget, it's no different than planning a budget in my house. If I'm only gonna make 2% more next year, I sure the heck can't spend 6% more and try and live.
Correct. You will see though in 23, 24, and projected in 25, the township did have excess revenue over expenditures. So they were able to build up a cash balance. So that basically revenues, with the exception of about 118,000, do equal the budget as proposed. But you can see like, in 23, revenue growth was 17%, but the budget went down 13%. Or actual expenditures went down 13%.
It looks like we balanced it in 24.
Yes,
The new governor, that's his goal. That's what he said.
yes, his catchphrase is do more with less.
Yes. And unfortunately, that means everybody else has got to too.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, it looks, sorry, Tamara.
Go for it.
It looks like in 25, the revenue growth only went up 16%, but the expenses went up 35. It looks like that's, that, the budget was overspent by almost 20%.
No, so actually, that was just because of the past, we've actually worked the last couple of years to increase your revenue. So if you actually look in 25, you're projected to have a surplus of 126,000. So honestly, it's because of what happened in 23. Your expenses were down so much that we were able to bring them up in 25 in line with the revenues.
And again, this doesn't have the supplemental or the levy appeals
Correct.
in the 26 column as well.
Yes.
So the 118, we're looking at 350 plus.
Yeah, so we could quickly go to the other side,
Yeah.
but it sounds like though we need to make sure we're not focused on receiving those.
Yes.
Okay,
Normally, I'd be okay with putting them in the revenue
but we know
projection.
they're coming to a stop.
Yes,
So why would we keep including? We've got to start figuring out how to live without it.
that's exactly the point, yes.
Help me understand something as we look forward into 26. I'm looking at typically $700,000 annual increase in the property tax revenues. We're only going up like $10,000 in 2026.
I also factored in, circuit breaker credits this year. So that devolves into a whole confusing topic. I don't know how well you're familiar with circuit breaker credits.
No.
So essentially, as homeowners, we have a 1% property tax cap, which means everybody in your district can have a $10 tax rate, which is unheard of. The most you will ever pay is 1% of your assessed value. And then that gets allocated across all districts within who tax you. So if you actually look at the Form 3 on page 2, this is your estimated amount that you will not collect because of the circuit breaker credits. The only exclusion to that is if a school passes a referendum. The circuit breaker credits don't apply to that.
The circuit breaker credit, Abby, is the property tax cap credit
Yes,
estimate.
of roughly 900,000. And basically, so it's allocated for an unincorporated Buck Creek, you would have the county, the school, and the township, and a library, and it gets allocated proportionally to all units based on their tax rate. And the governor also, or not the governor, the state also passed, as part of Senate Bill 1, additional deductions and credits to homeowners and property owners in general. So that will also further decrease the property tax revenue everybody's going to be receiving.
So the increase of 10,000 that it shows from 25 to 26 is even less than that, or could be less
It's
than that.
included in that, yeah. That's why it's not showing as big of growth as we would have hoped this year.
I don't think 118,000 is quite is a lot. I think that some areas that can be adjusted, right? And that's not a frantic number.
What, the 108, no.
No, so like if we don't receive, like we can figure out where the 118.
Absolutely, and if you look at prior years, it's usually rare for a unit to spend 100% of their budget. It's not shown here.
We see percentages on a monthly basis.
Yes,
When
yes,
you
you
guys
do.
give us these numbers here, it tells us the percentage on the side. So we look at the percentages in relation to the month in which we're in, that's how much is allotted to be left over.
Yes,
So, I mean, I haven't seen too many of them completely maxed out,
it's
so.
rare, and we typically for budgets round up anyway.
Mhm.
So personally, I'm not concerned about the projected deficit of 118,000. I do believe that'll be made up.
And some of the ones that are maxed out are like a one-time payment early in the year or whatever.
Let me jump around a little bit. Capital improvement. The nice color page. Are we going to have the funds to meet our 2025 capital improvement projects and to be able to complete them?
No,
There will be carryovers.
there'll be, yes. So if we've got 1 through 10, we might get 1 through 5 done, and 5 through 10 goes to the next year. Maybe it goes in front of the 1 through 10 for the next year. Maybe it's interspersed in between
Do
there.
we know how far we're going to be short in making that goal?
We've accomplished several of the things already. For 25.
A couple of things to realize within the capital improvement plan is, as we had talked about at the last meeting, some of these things were listed on as wish items, and we were asked to add those so that it would show that we're using not only the current funded budget, but also the cash as well. So that would help in the funds needing to be moved back to the 30% for the county. So in looking at the capital improvement project, the intent is not all of those items are going to get done this year, nor is there funding to do all of those. Mickey and I actually have 3 of those items that we're going to be talking to you about after this in regards to using current budget money to accomplish those 3 things. And it's the 3 red items that we have on the list. So beyond that, as we move forward, we'll slide some things around. And looking at the capital improvement plan, what you have in front of you now to be submitted to the state, once it's been submitted to the state and once this is the plan that we're using, it's going to start changing as we get towards the end of this year, where we'll move some of the items that are the must-haves or the needs to, and then reassess some of the other items to determine if, is it something that we need to do in the next year, or is it something that we can push to a 3rd year? Ultimately, the goal in the capital improvement plan is to try and balance out the expenditures from year to year so that you're looking at an average of 300,000 to 500,000 as opposed to where we've got 2.3 million is what's on 2025. And then looking into next year, the plan also shows a high expenditure as well. So going beyond that, it's a little bit more balanced, and ultimately that's the goal, to get to that place. But as it stands right now, we're trying to show the use of those funds so that we don't lose those funds to road improvement within the township.
And also, to apply for the excess levy appeal, we have to show that there is a need. They won't just hand the money out to anybody that asks for it. So by having a more robust capital improvement plan, we can show there is definitely a need for the additional funds for the township.
So you loaded it.
Yes.
So going back to a previous question, then 181 or 118,000 that we're going to be short would reflect in money probably spent in the capital budget or line items that were underspent.
We actually don't have an appropriation for all of the 3.2 million, almost 3.3 million, for 26. I'm guessing that as those come to fruition, when we get estimates, we'll ask for an additional appropriation.
There is capital funding similar to what we did for this year. In next year, there's capital funding listed as a line item in both the township and the fire. And the reason that we did that is with the potential of losing the money from the redevelopment commission at the county level, we wanted to make sure that we were buffered, that if we lost that money, then all we're going to do is as the income source comes off, then we would eliminate those capital line items and then start going back. And we're going to continue talking to the county. We had asked them to extend the MOU and they've denied doing that so far. We're going to have an additional conversation towards the end of the month with them to see if we can't revisit that topic. But we have to assume that they're not going to. And so in planning for that, to ensure that the staff is protected with what we're looking at doing, that's why we built those in to allow us those capital purchases for this year and next. We have another mechanism as well that allows us to do some capital purchasing, and that is the cumulative fire fund. And so that is typically intended for saving. The fire department's saving fund, so that instead of having to do a bond anytime we need to purchase an apparatus, that the goal would be is we'd be able to pay cash for it instead. And so that fund has allowed us to save some money. And so we're trying to use as little out of that this year. We did not spend all of it last year, so that when we go to the point of needing to order our next apparatus, that we're not looking to encroach onto the tax, into the residents, another taxing fee of a bond, but being able to use the cash to do so.
But you're saying you're wanting to hold on to that so that you can purchase something outright with cash. But if something does break down and need immediate repair, you're able to pull from that fund. Okay.
The way that it's budgeted right now is we budget out the amount that we're receiving. So that amount is budgeted, but we're not, again, trying to not tap into that fund if we can to allow us to use that for a capital purchase of an apparatus is what we're looking at. But yes, we do have the ability of, like right now, I think the 4 categories that are broken in is capital purchase, fire gear, equipment repair, and there was a 4th, I apologize, I don't have anything in front of me, but a 4th line item that already have budgeted amounts. So if we needed to access those funds, whether it's to purchase a piece of equipment or whether it's to do a repair, we would simply come and ask for you to do the appropriation of the funds that we would need in order to do that.
I think you said the 118 doesn't include the 750 from the RDC, right?
No, it does.
It does for this year.
26 though doesn't, right?
We're talking about 26, so
Yeah,
it's
Because
with it in.
26 is for the last
We
year.
get the money next year. So in 26, we will receive the RDC funding based on the MOU. After that, nothing is guaranteed. We are on their projected budget for the next 10 years to continue to receive funds. That's why I want to get the agreement in writing, because then it gives us some assurances that, yes, that's what their intentions are.
So we have it for next year. We have it for next year.
Yes, it's a part of the 807.
And it's a minimum, the MOU is for a minimum of 700,000, And so this year, first year we received 7, this year we received 750. And according to the spreadsheets that they're showing us now, next year's a little bit more.
So it's more than 750?
That's what their spreadsheets are showing. Now they haven't gone completely through their budget process yet either. That obviously is a place that they would look to reduce if they had to. But so it's at least a minimum of 7, which continues to fund the firefighters that we hired.
Right.
With that.
We kind of commingled the budget with the CIP, so.
Yeah, just slightly.
Yeah, I said more than 750. It doesn't make it.
You said we should?
Yeah.
Should is a wonderful word.
Well, we asked for 3 million a year for 10 years back in October, 2 years ago. And we were met with, oh, we've done this to Buck Creek. Oh, we need to do more for Buck Creek. Oh, we should. And then every time that we've had conversations in regards to the funds, it's been limited to the 750. Gary Poole, who is the county engineer, also is the person that manages the budget for the RDC, has continually talked about our budget is only negatively impacted by $250,000 based off of the TIF. That's never felt right, so we actually asked Abby to go through and do the numbers. Abby did do the numbers and actually has found that our budget is impacted negatively by $2.8 million. So we have pushed that back to the council and commissioners and asked them their take on that, and we've not gotten any response. So we engaged their accountant, whose response was, well, we didn't give those numbers and we've not been asked to look into that, so I can't comment on it. So part of the conversation at the joint meeting on, I think it's the 30th, is bringing up that comment and asking them publicly to validate those numbers, because they're saying, oh, well, we're blessing them with 3 times what they're short, as opposed to, oh, yeah, they're a lot shorter than what. So that's part of the, just so you have insight into some of the conversations that are upcoming in the plan of what we're looking at trying to engage with.
Do you guys understand how TIF works? Do you want a quick explanation
What?
of TIF?
I'm somewhat familiar with it. You guys want to?
Okay, so picture, I gotta talk to my hands on this one. You have a farmland, you got 10 acres of farm.
There's no picturing, we've got it.
You got the assessed value of that here.
Abby, I think she said they're saying they're good.
Oh, never mind. Sorry.
No, you're fine. If you want to go.
No, I don't
Does
want,
everybody understand
I
it?
don't want to explain it if I don't
Yeah,
have to.
okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, we
I think
understand.
I've talked
The
to
gist
them.
of it is we're getting
Yeah.
screwed. I mean,
Oh, yeah,
mhm.
2.8 million.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. No.
Yeah.
I appreciate you still being willing.
Yeah,
I just think it boils our water a little bit more.
yep, then I will stop.
Yeah. So. Okay, so we kind of just wrapped up our budget and the plan all in one. Am I hearing that? Am I saying that like, that was like,
On capital improvement.
yes. So, but on our agenda, the capital improvement plan is what we're supposed to be right now.
So I need you, pardon my interruption, to
You're okay.
basically open the floor, open the meeting for a public discussion on the CIP.
On the budget.
Well, we'll do the budget next.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to make
Yeah.
sure we are
Yep.
chunking this out so that we're hearing everything in order.
I'd like to open the meeting for discussion from the floor on the capital improvement plan. Right, that's a motion.
Does it need to be motion second?
No, you as the board president just has to say, I open the meeting to public
We just
discussion.
need to open the floor. Is there any public comment on the capital improvement plan? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
I need you
There's
to
no
know.
public hearing and nobody wanted to discuss, so let's close the public hearing for comments and move forward.
Okay, now I need a motion, thank you, and a vote on the adoption of the capital improvement plan.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the capital improvement plan for 2026, right?
It actually goes down to, actually goes to what, 20?
By minimum requirements, it has to go from 2026 to 2028.
Where's the old resolution?
Oh,
Okay.
We're gonna, I know what I'm doing. Thank you. Read this. He's gonna give you- I'm not gonna read this.
But the resolution pursuant to Indiana Code 36-6-9-6, adoption of capital improvement plan for Indiana Code 36-6-9-5 requires the township board to adopt a capital improvements plan that meets the criteria of Indiana Code 36-6-9. Whereas Indiana Code 36-6-9-5 requires the township to hold a public hearing on the proposed capital improvement plan. Now therefore, that Buckley Township resolves that a public hearing was held to adopt capital improvement plans required by Indiana Code 36-6-9 for a unit named Buckley Township, County, Hancock County, on this 9th day of September 2025. Is there a motion to adopt?
so moved.
In a second?
Second.
Properly moved and seconded, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Gina's gonna sign.
Oh, sorry.
Let me clarify something.
What?
I've been
I will.
kind of mixed up about the budget presentation. Does it need to be approved tonight?
No, it cannot be approved
That's what I
tonight.
thought, it just had to be for
Public
public
discussion.
discussion tonight, and then we have to vote on it next meeting, right?
Yes,
But the
What we
budget,
set, what we set tonight though cannot be adjusted. Like it can, you're shaking your
you
head.
can adjust it till the day you sign it in October.
I was always told.
That's where I was kind of confused, I thought we was gonna have to do a public hearing and all in one tonight.
No, you're technically
And I
not
didn't
allowed
think
to.
we could,
No.
because,
The Form 3 cannot be changed unless you reset the whole process. And so that just stipulates the maximum budget and levy that you're eligible to set. The actual individual budget, line items, fund totals, township total, what's actually gonna be allowed to spend can be changed and altered up to the maximum of the Form 3 until you sign the resolution adopting the budget in next board meeting. That's why the Form 1, they have the 2 columns, the published and the adopted. And those do not have to be the same.
so what we're gonna do tonight, present the board, or the budget.
Actually, all you have to do is open it for public discussion and then close the public discussion.
And then we're gonna go over the budget, or the changes, or,
You can't make a decision, you have to just, you can't make a decision on it. We can talk about it, but no decision can be made till next month.
so,
You need to formally open the discussion.
so do we need to talk about it before we open the board?
That's your decision. You can do whatever you wanna do.
Personally, myself, I don't know how Jen or Andy feels, but personally for myself, I'd kind of like to go through it before we open it for discussion.
Okay.
As, line items
Mhm.
and see, because I did see some changes in there that maybe we talked about and something that I feel very strongly about that we need to add into the budget.
Okay, let's do it.
How do you guys feel?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Let's start on page 3. So the first column will tell you the fund. Rainy day, we have no budget for.
We're on page 3
Yes,
of this here.
yeah, the big packet, yep, that's it.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay.
Have no budget for caps or.
I don't know why they put that, but that's just an automatic line item that the state puts in the form.
But right now, do we really not, we don't want a rainy day fund, because then we have, to- if it's not allocated towards,
We've allocated it with CIP expenditures.
okay.
Yes, as the CIP stands that you have adopted, the township will not transfer any funds to another entity. Yep, you will keep all your own money. Then you have for the township general fund, personal services are first. The deputy trustee's salary. Do you want me to read these line by line, or you just wanna skim over page by page?
I think the salary, we can kind of figure out because they're asking for 3% straight across, right?
I believe so.
Is that correct?
Yes,
That's what we budgeted in, right?
That's what you're asking for in the budget, right?
that is correct.
Good.
And if you would like, I can, put together a comparison of what last year's line items were to this year's and show you a percentage difference.
Isn't that what was sent in the
Oh, yes,
email?
yes, you already did that, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, it was already done.
I don't have that copy. I have it on my phone. Yeah.
Do you have it you can print for them?
Go try and look at it going down the road.
I believe Mickey emailed that to you.
Yeah, I printed it.
Yeah. So that's compared to last year. That's what I really.
It's 25 to 26. So.
Okay. Okay. We can move right on down if you want.
Okay.
We have a part-time clerical now, we do.
Yes, we do.
Well, all them, so like social security, personal benefits, and all that stay the same, even though we're increasing their pay,
Yes, we,
because it's already higher than what it normally is.
yes.
I know one that stood out that finds it maybe. To me was one of the reasons the township is obligated to, and that's, if I remember right, was the poor relief fund.
That's quite a bit back afterwards. We're just in the general fund right now.
Okay, all right. Well, that's pretty much the same thing. What's it, what is the merit board legal?
The merit board legal, that's kind of the question I had, because we've had this on here since we started, and it keeps getting added for 10,000, but then yet it doesn't ever appear to occur.
So that's why we moved it off of this budget.
Okay,
In conversation with the union, the conversation was we budgeted the last 2 years and it wasn't used.
mhm.
So if we get to a point that we're ready to move forward with that, it simply would be an appropriation from the board to bring those funds available in order to use instead of continuing to budget and have it as a,
What's that for?
creating a merit board for the department.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so where would an attorney get in the general fund?
Legal services,
So that's somewhere else.
no, it's on page 3 of the packet,
So it's line 3AB if you're looking at my spreadsheet.
7,500.
So it's line 3 on this one.
Page 3.
Okay. Does that have an attorney for board meetings? Or just a
No, that's just,
call on one?
that's a
That's
call on the
usually
limb.
a call on a whim, have to review contracts,
Okay.
stuff like that.
That's one of the things that I want to try and get done, is get to where the board has, for the meetings, representation. Not that I don't disbelieve you,
Oh, yeah,
but you're an accountant, not an attorney.
absolutely.
So, sometimes I think even with them helping without things and stuff, I think it's something that we need, whether they don't have to come. I think Vernon, Sugar, Center, all three Zoom a lot of theirs. I don't know if somebody knows that for sure or not. Do you know if that's true or not, Jan? Do they Zoom or show?
They Zoom, who, I can't hear back here.
If they Zoom,
We Zoom legal in during the meeting.
Yeah, sometimes it saves the money.
okay.
Yeah, because they'll charge for the drive time.
Do you know if $7,500 would get that a year, or does that need to be
An
increased?
attorney?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, it needs to be
I've
increased.
never priced them, so I don't know.
I mean, if the 7,500 was for random everyday things that we were needing for past years, and that's still 7,500, then I would assume that it would need to be increased. My question though, from my understanding, and I could be totally wrong, is that what we have budgeted for you and what we have budgeted for legal can float. Is that correct?
Yes, so technically, if you look in the category column
Mhm.
where it says services and charges and personal services and supplies, the state cares about the category total. And so the township, without board approval or state approval, can fluctuate cost between a category. So yes, anything within services and charges can be switched around.
The other piece of that as well is if we find that that category starts to become a shortfall, the board has the authority of moving money within the same fund between categories. And if the fund becomes where it's going to be an issue, you then have the ability of appropriating cash to that line item or to that fund in order to bring it back to a zero balance if needed.
Who do we use now for you?
We have two legal that we primarily use, and we've not done, well, actually, we've not done much with them either this year. Peter Beering is an attorney that we have that we can use for generalized legal questions. We've used him for some light HR stuff as well. And then we also have, what's the name of the group?
Kroger, Gardis, and Rios.
Kroger, Artis, and Regis, that we have one of the attorneys that we have an agreement with that we can use for, he is an HR specific attorney. So that if we get into things that get deep into the weeds, we can pull him in and bring him on board. We used him a couple of years ago for something that came up. And so I don't think we've used him at all this year.
So I tried to get clarity about this yesterday, and that last year we increased the financial side by X amount of dollars because we were having discussions with Greenfield, correct? Okay, I tried getting clarity on what that amount was, because that was included. for X amount for that specific purpose.
On the amount that we increased from 24 to 25, is that the question?
Yes,
Would you like me to answer?
sure, if you know what it is, go for it.
So basically, our fees for the Greenfield Fire Territory accumulated over the end of 23 and the beginning, or the end of 24 to the beginning of this year was approximately $25,000.
25, was that just our township or was that to be split
It
with?
was to be split with Greenfield.
So then our half was 12.5?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, that's where I was believing it was as well. So the request and recommendation I asked for was to take that 12.5 and put it for legal fees in addition to the 7,500.
Are we still continuing those discussions with Greenfield?
I was told they were on hold, like,
So where we're at right now is from our process, and this is something that we talked with the officers yesterday. So with Senate Bill 1, the understanding was is that there was no way that we could continue forward simply because of the fact of creating a new fire territory would cap the rate at 40. It's going to go into, I'll try and keep this brief, I'm happy to elaborate. The short version is South Madison Fire Territory went and challenged some of the legal verbiage that was within Senate Bill 1 and limiting some of the possibilities because they were looking at doing a merger between South Madison and 4 other entities. The short version was is that the LGF came back and said that you cannot form a new fire territory, or if you form a new fire territory, then the rate would be 40 cents and you can't go above that. If you merge or create a merger of a fire territory or entities into a fire territory, then yes, you have the ability of taking that rate above 40 cents and looking at doing that. The problem that we're running into is that with the time frame of trying to get everything lined up between now and when we would have to have everything done is quickly closing. The conversations are now on the Greenfield side for them to have, and we've not had a lot of feedback as far as where their political side or their political stance is on that as a possibility. So I've had 2 conversations. One was with Chief Nodine from the South Madison Fire Territory, where he kind of gave some of the information of the DLGF's outcomes from what they had researched. And then I had a conversation with Chief Horning last Wednesday or Thursday, and he said that he's still having conversations with his politicians, but there's been no further collaboration beyond that at this point.
So it's basically on hold for at least a year anyway, right?
When I'm asked if there's a chance, I say, yes, there's a chance. Do I feel that that is a great chance? I don't feel it's a great chance at this point. I feel it's a slim chance for anything to look to move forward within the next year. And that would be conversations that we would have to engage with you as well, if that's something that came to fruition. But where we stand right now, I think the chance of success for it going into 27 is slim.
So you would like to see the legal services increased by 12,500 to approximately 20,000.
yeah, we're looking at 20,000.
Okay.
Which then will take your financial services down to 52.5.
Okay.
And as you said, we can always move that stuff around, right? Then it's in the same or whatever.
In worst case, if things go over, we can always ask for an additional appropriation.
Mickey, I know we only talked yesterday morning, so I'm not expecting miracles, but were any phone calls able to be made to see if
I have a list.
you have a list?
Yeah, I wanted to look this up before I spoke. 73,915 was spent on financial in 22. Just letting you know, you had alluded that it had gone up substantially.
No, I did not. I said what we did is we increased it by an X amount last year so that we could have discussions. I said whatever we increased it by is the amount that I would like to see pulled from there to put towards legal. I didn't say it went up substantially.
Okay, I'm just confirming this. 23 was 63.8 is what was spent. 24. I did something, Abby. I broke it.
To answer your question, from the 24 to 25, looks like we did an increase of 12,000 on the financial services.
That's an easy no switch.
I thought so too.
Yeah, I can do it.
And with that, personally myself, I would prefer it be somebody that's versed on township law, that, you know, it's, because I think it's gonna start getting stickier and stickier with township laws and stuff that's coming through and stuff. So I just wanna make sure that,
Which is why there's not a township attorney right now, because I was telling Jen yesterday that, all the local guys who do township law or have done township law in the past, like DJ Davis, now he's a judge, he can't do township law. John Apple's trying to retire. Brian Bosna's not doing township, law anymore. And if you could convince him to do it, he's like, I don't know, $600 an hour or something stupid. Those are the ones that have been, Jeff Bellamy, who works up in Vernon Township, is very good, but he's at a big firm in Indianapolis, and it's a lot per hour. I was trying to find somebody who was local, because it is my opinion, and based on historical, that we don't have a huge hourly need for them. We need, you know, little this and that. And so I was trying to find somebody who was, you know, maybe local and maybe a little bit less expensive than, you know, downtown Indianapolis or whatever.
if he's zooming, if he's 300 an hour, we'll get these meetings to half hour, and then we'll. So we don't have to worry.
You have to learn to talk really fast, Kenny.
We'll have to go fast.
Ted Knowlton is a partner with Brian Bosma. He does work for other townships that we've.
Ted Knowlton?
Ted Knowlton. I would ask about him.
But you said you have a list, and so the list is primarily Hancock and Marion County. What list have you been able to?
It is on my desk. I saw, Jenny actually pulled a list of municipal, which doesn't necessarily equate to township, but she pulled a list of municipal attorneys. I think there's 4 of them on that list, but again, municipalities aren't necessarily versed in just township stuff. So I haven't had a chance to look into that any further yet.
Is that something now we make some changes tonight? We have to republish them, or?
Nope, that's why the Form 3 is so high, so we can make changes.
Okay. All right. Okay, so I'm good with that now then. I think you good with that?
Think so.
Good.
So is that general fund or budget in general? You said you had a question on assistance?
General funds.
He's just that line.
Huh?
Just that line or the fund?
Just that line.
Okay.
So we,
Should've worn flats tonight.
I think we're okay with the general fund, what do you think?
Just keep going, do what you feel you've got to do.
Yeah, you can go through line by line if you want to.
Well, it's just them little things that stuck out to me when I was trying to look at it, but I think we can.
The assistance fund was next, and I know you said you had something that stuck out to you on
Yes.
that one.
Yes, Township Assistance Fund. Well, there's lots of lines, isn't it? So it looks like, it's still 50-50, right?
Yes, I believe it
Are we
was.
spending close to that or more?
We're not at that yet.
Huh?
We're not at that yet. I'm doing, I have 3 service contracts coming up. And then so the rest of this month, 4 months to go. I think 50 will work for next year. I hope, although we're getting, we have 2 new apartment complexes coming. One's opening in triplexes, which is exactly East Way Court, of which we already had a call. There was someone that moved in, and 30 days later, they needed help paying their rent. They did not meet our income guidelines, so we couldn't help them, but I was surprised that we were getting calls from there so quickly.
I'm not. So, question I have is, we keep that at 50. We go over, do we have it somewhere else within our budget to be able to supply? I don't want to see it, if it gets put in there, it's locked in there, is that correct?
That's just the most they can spend, yes.
Correct. Okay.
Well, additional appropriation.
It's something else,
Yes.
what, obviously, if you pull it from somewhere, the other option too, for townships is that you can get a loan, because you have to meet the community, or the township assistance. You have to meet, if somebody qualifies, you must.
You have to take
yes.
care of it, absolutely.
Yes,
Jen, where are you at right now? We're in September. How much do you have left?
she's got,
$29,340.
Say that one more time, please.
$29,340.22.
yeah, remaining.
Take 3,000 off the service contract, and that's what happens.
So 26
About half.
area.
Okay. Okay. Good.
And just as a note, you'll see some columns in here, or rows called as advertised. I'm a proponent, I like even round numbers for fund totals. So for example, on the general fund, there is a.
Abby, I do not see as advertised. My apologies.
Nope, you're
I'm just gonna now,
There's so many
since
numbers.
I can't even see it.
Deliver page 4.
Oh, I see I'm on 5.
So as advertised, this is the general fund. I just made it a pretty round number of whatever that total was.
For here.
Yes.
I get you.
So worst case scenario, this is not budgeted to be spent anywhere. We can always have you transfer that.
Understood.
So it's in the fire fund too.
So the training is going to come from too. right?
We'll see how it's advertised here.
Yes.
That just makes it this.
Is that just a holding?
Yes.
Okay.
It can be moved and it's not currently budgeted for any specific purpose. So worst case, if we need more money and assistance, we can move that.
Right.
Jen, you feel that's a good amount still? You good with it?
That's Brandon.
Brandon, she good with it? Why am I asking you? That just totally threw me for a freaking loop.
Two of us?
Yep, we're good with it.
All right.
The next fund is the Township Fire and EMS.
That can't be the same, can it? Oh, this is back then. I gotta get over here.
Yeah, it's totally laid out and different than what we've done before.
That's also reflects at 3%, right? Chief?
Correct. The other thing that comes into play on this is there was an increase in the mandatory PERF contribution. Previously it was 20.1% and it's going to 23.3%. So that's reflected in there as well. So if you see the difference in PERF, that's part of that.
Because it's going up.
Correct.
It does every year, right? Is
Yeah.
there ever gonna be a time where it's gonna be just maxed and
It
done?
hadn't for a very long time. I think 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
3.
Is when they started skyrocketing the
So it was
percentage.
18% in 2022, and then it jumped to 19.1, and I think it was 20 or 20 point something, and then this next year will jump to 23.3.
Which brings up another question. Now, remember we saw a couple of months, 3 months ago or something about the PERK program that we had something that we hadn't been doing or?
Yeah, we're caught up on everything as it stands right now, so I believe that we're good.
Okay, so there was something, I remember.
Yeah, we had a resolution that we sent them and updated a ticket, and I've not heard anything additional from that.
Okay. All right.
I can give you the chief actuary's name over there if you want to call and complain.
Okay. Right there.
Okay, the next fund is, it was the debt service. The only thing listed is the debt payment that's due next year. After that is the cumulative fire, which is what Brandon was talking about. We have budgeted the 322 with the hopes, fingers crossed, that we won't actually have to spend it and we can save that to purchase an apparatus down the road with cash. It was a total of 300,000 last year.
How much?
300,000,
That's all that. We're up
22,000.
22. Okay.
And then last is the recreation fund, the recreation fund.
Oh, okay.
And it's been the same for several years of
Bottom of the
7,500.
What is that for again?
Oh, okay.
So various recreation things, it's pretty broad in the statute, so parks, anything that's kind of available, like the community room, to the public.
We have used it for lawnmower maintenance, for lawn chemicals, because 72's technically is a park behind it. So we've used it generically to buy lawn chemicals for both stations and for, we did the signs a couple years ago. That was out of recreation.
So it's just your miscellaneous. We don't really have a category. We don't want to pull from here, so we'll take it from there.
But it is restricted. I mean, you can't just you can't just do anything.
They can't pay a salary out of it.
Well, that's why I said if it's not categorized.
Yeah, but it technically is restricted based on the State Board of Accounts, so it's not eligible for the 30% transfer.
Training was 35 and it's at 35 again for this year.
Nikki, what do we spend on training?
Does that get it?
Hold on.
I don't know. I mean, that's,
Chief?
So we left training the same because where we're standing right now, we'll end up spending right about that budget for the year. So I think that that's a good spot for the budget to be.
Training, we have spent, we've got 14,197 remaining right now.
We've got a couple of classes there's an instructor that's being brought in and doing a 3-day class. And then I believe we've got a couple other classes that are lined up. One of the things that I'm going to do once we get to the end of the year is I can also run a report to show the salary that we've spent towards training as well, because we're tracking that within the scheduling software. So I'll be able to put a report to show how many hours that we paid for training as well. That's not being deducted out of the training line item. That's being deducted out of salaries. So I think that that's worthwhile information to know that that's money that's also being put towards training, even though it's not specifically on the line item.
but training is at 35 and you've only spent 14 and we're in September.
No, we're 14 remaining.
14, okay, so 14,000 is remaining and we're in September. So do you plan to spend that 14 in the next so many months?
I know of at least 5 off of one of the classes being done with an instructor that's being brought out. I have to talk to my training captain to ask in regards to the rest of it, so I don't have that answer offhand.
How much was spent last year?
We won't train firemen. Except when they pull up in the house, just don't start putting water in it, there you go.
We spent 28,919 last year.
And we have more firefighters coming into this year because we hired, 6 this year?
I think you said we're at,
6 or 8.
you calculate everything at 37, is that correct?
Yeah, when
For next-
not,
for-
training was a part of that, but correct, yes.
Well, I mean, if we have this amount left over and you had 6,000 left over from last year, even if they're budgeting for 37, it sounds like we still have a pretty good amount.
Correct.
Just FYI, in that category, the 3s category last year, which is physicals, clothing allowance, and training, although there was
136.
there was 36 $100 left in training last year, but clothing allowance was over by 12.5. So the remainder in that fund, or not that fund, that category was $16.42.
1642, and that increase of clothing allowance was due to all the hires?
Did that include the new quartermaster section you're doing, or?
The quartermaster was,
That's in a different section
yeah, we broke that out as a different line item. So the clothing
and a
allowance,
different area.
correct.
Is it working all right?
The quartermaster,
No, the section for money and,
from the quartermaster perspective, yes. From the clothing allowance side, I don't think we've had any issues, and we're not projecting to have any issues going in this year either.
Quartermaster, the budget for this year was 12, and we've spent 8,882.
He's got an outstanding invoice for about 1,400, and then he was looking at getting another one placed. The quartermaster is supplying t-shirts, general sweatshirts, not the job shirts like these, Nomex hoods, fire gloves, things along those lines. So that's what we're using the quartermaster for, separate from the clothing allowance fund.
They still get $850 each though, or $800 each for the clothing allowance?
Yes,
And what's that one used for?
they're using that for miscellaneous boots, socks, hats, gloves, different the job shirts, running shoes, things along those lines.
And that's just handed to them?
Right now, it's being managed through the quartermaster. One of the things that we've talked about is changing that process because it has been a fairly tedious process. And so I think that that's part of one of the union requests and one of the conversations that we've had is changing that to a payout twice a year. So it'd be 400 and 400.
Is it 800 or 850?
It's 800.
8, thank you. In addition to the 12 that's already there on the line?
Two different things though.
Two different things, but it's taking care of their clothing, right?
Correct. But the quartermaster is also managing, so the fire gloves and the Nomex hood are not part of clothing, it's part of the fire gear that we provide. And in the contract, we're obligated to provide. So that portion, the t-shirts we've provided and historically have provided, the clothing is going through everything else. So yes and no
Is the quartermaster stuff township property, or do they take it when they leave?
no, they should be returning it when they leave.
Okay, but like the clothing allowance is theirs
Correct.
to keep, okay.
quartermaster, is that doing clothing allowance?
These types of pants come out of their clothing allowance, it does not come out of quartermaster.
I mean, one way or another, either way to look at it, and I'm not against it, I'm just saying in total, we're looking at $41,000. Okay,
47, it's 35 and 12.
we're looking at 47.
It's 35 for clothing allowance and 12 for quartermaster.
Part-timers are given a clothing after they've been here for a period of time. The quartermaster issues them a $350 clothing allowance.
Okay, they're on a run, they tear their pants, they had to buy them, so they gotta go buy another one?
Yes.
Their clothing allowance?
And those pants, just FYI, are like
$80.
You know, they're stupid. You label it fire and it's crazy
Them
expensive.
guys, they spent 400 spent their 400, got 4 new pair of pants. They come to work, first run, they rip them on something, you know, getting in a car or doing something. Then you're gonna say, hey, now you gotta go get you another new pair or survive off the 3 again, so. I'm just trying to figure out a way that would help them not have to spend their money again for something that is bought, that they've done while I was working now. They're out mowing their grass and stuff, which I doubt they do, but.
Well, that's where the clothing allowance has been an offset. You know, being able to use the clothing allowance to purchase that gear or to purchase the pants and then purchase another pair as needed is where that benefit comes in. So finding the sweet spot of what is the right amount or what is not the right amount is the question that you're asking.
Yeah.
If you look historically at other departments, I think we're right in the sweet spot, right in the middle of where other departments are looking at clothing allowance.
That's not, coming from law enforcement, I know departments that got clothing allowance, departments that furnished them. When I was on, they furnished them. The other one I did it, they didn't furnish them, they had got a clothing allowance. So either sometimes they got it right close to Christmas or something like that. So hey, the kids, they looked at the kids and they thought, okay, there's Christmas gifts instead. And their uniforms look like shit the rest of the time, you know?
Well, that's part of, and looking at having this transition that we're talking about, of where they would get a January and a July, the stipend paid out in January and July. Part of that's going to be that the officers will have to enforce that the uniform matches the uniform policy. And so we do have we are rolling out policies. The uniform policy is one of those that breaks down what the expectation is for the staff pretty clearly.
I just wondered if it's a better way than clothing allowance they get what they need.
The problem, if we go through and we try to quartermaster everything, trying to
Which I'm
quartermaster.
okay with having the quartermaster do it.
Right.
But not just, unless that's what they want, to hand them money and they go do it themselves. I don't know. There's
That's been what the
several years-
union request has been, and that's what the quartermaster request has been, is they would prefer to have, and feel free to speak up if anybody disagrees, but the preference would be that they don't have to do reimbursements or ordering just through the quartermaster side.
Are they currently pleased with what's going on?
Show of hands, who's pleased?
Okay, I'll speak up.
Oh
on
my
this.
gosh, all
So
I
the
was doing
benefit,
was
so the
just putting
benefit of
numbers
us having
together.
a clothing allowance is, we have 30+ firefighters on shift. Everybody wears a different boot, everybody wears a different pant based off of what's comfortable for them, if they have bad knees or whatever it is. Like my duty boots are $270 a pair. Now, they last me 2 to 3 years, but they're expensive and I know they're proven. Trey may prefer wearing a tennis shoe, so regardless. You're wearing tennis shoes right now. We like having the uniform allowance because it allows us to get the gear and the equipment, or not the equipment, the gear that we're gonna wear on shift, that allows us to be able to do our job to the best of our abilities, that's comfortable for us. Because there's, we used to have law enforcement, there's 90 different manufacturers of pants, there's 90 different manufacturers of boots, and this allows us to get the stuff that we want that maintains us being inside, uniform compliance. So we like getting the uniform allowance.
So the pants-
It has been rarely that anyone is just at 2 pairs of pants and they rip a pair. Most of us, we look at the sales throughout the year, and if 511 is doing like a buy one, get one 50% off, we're gonna be going to Fontaine and saying, hey, right now with the way our uniform allowance works, hey, I need to get 2 pairs of pants, and they clear the funds for us. So with the $800, it allows us to get the stuff that we're gonna best provide fire and EMS coverage for the township for. Rather than just happening to go to Fontaine and say, hey, I need a pair of Hayek's boots, and Trey goes, I need a pair of 511 boots. Instead of trying to keep a stock in our quartermaster room,
Yeah, I'm not,
he can just release it and say, they can just say, hey, you got your money, go buy what you want, as long as it meets X, Y, and Z guidelines.
I think that's what we were hearing. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not saying put it through anybody. I'm saying is have your own freedom. You got 800, right? Okay, along with the 12,000 that's also with the quartermaster. So what I'm saying is it's a pretty good amount. Is it not? We're satisfied?
Yeah.
I think it's great. Thank you.
All right.
Do you all have any other?
training's good,
Question.
clothing's good.
We were going to do something with physicals.
So we've been talking with Hancock Gateway. They are lining up so that they can currently do the new hire physicals. So if we have new employees now, we can actually run them through Gateway, and they use Protein Wellness, which is a company that we use as well. They use Protein to do the psych evaluation. Greenfield has already put through 2 of their new employees through that process successfully without any problems. So the pricing's a little bit cheaper than going through the site that we're going through now. So when we get to the point that we have a new hire, we'll probably look at doing that. From the annual physicals, I met with them and the other chiefs of the departments. They are gearing up to be able to do our annual physicals as well. They were looking at kind of the piecemeal to be able to give us the price on the things that we would want to look at doing. Vernon Township is at a point that they're ready to start doing them. So it sounds like they may end up being the guinea pigs and running through first. We've just completed our annual physicals through the company that we have used previously in the past. So we're not due again until next year. So we'll start kind of lining everything up, see the success that Vernon has, And then if everything looks good, look to make that change.
So their health insurance doesn't pay for an annual physical or
These are perf physicals.
first?
Yeah, we talked about that. They're more like in-depth, more costly.
Yep,
correct?
so as opposed to going to your primary care and you're doing an annual physical and they do the basics, the per physical goes through, we do a cardiac treadmill, they do some additional blood work. We're doing hearing tests, pulmonary function tests, EKGs. I think that covers it.
Yes, it is. So the budget on physicals, as you're talking about, it was 66 this year. We have spent 22,218 to date. I don't know, do you know if everybody's gone through their,
I don't have an answer, I'll follow up on that.
so there's a lot left in that line item.
I would say, I appreciate that you're telling us line item numbers. I really do. At the end of the year though, it sounds like, so one area, there's like $16 left over, I think is what I heard you say. But then there's gonna be another area where there could possibly be thousands left over. What do you guys then do when there's thousands left over?
It goes in cash reserve,
Mhm.
because that money was already allocated, speaker fund. And then
It's just, we call it unappropriated.
And it's
Money?
just flex.
No, so she can only spend the money within that category in that particular fund. So for example, say salaries was budgeted too high for the fire fund. She cannot pay anything but personal services for fire with that extra budget without your permission or the state's permission.
But we can balance that out to another.
So my authority is to be, so in the threes, which is
You have to live
the
with this budget.
physicals, the clothing allowance and the training, I can move that money around and make sure that things are covered. Or what we have done now is it's actually better for budgeting purposes to leave it as a negative so that you know this year we went $10,000 over that or whatever. So every once in a while, you'll see a red and that's on purpose so that next year we can check that budget item as opposed to just taking what was budgeted, through, in October. So I can move between the threes. You all can move from a 3 to a 1 or a 1 to a 4 or whatever. DLGF has to move from the fire fund to the township general or whatever. So those are the levels of authority to move it. So it behooves all of us to budget as closely as we can to the lines, but there is, between you and me, there's the ability to move it around, at least in the fund. We gotta move it from fund to fund, then we gotta go to the state.
But you still have to approve that before we can go to state.
Yeah.
Some of them items though, would it make more sense to go ahead and get something appropriated, and paid for if you need?
If we can, yes, that's how usually at the beginning of the year, we will ask you to encumber funds. And so, for example, like clothing allowance, if they bought a lot of clothing, the quartermaster did clothing at the end of the year, instead of charging, but we don't pay for it until 26, we'll encumber the funds, which basically means we'll transfer the budget from 26 to 20, or from 25 to 26, because we ordered it and the funds were obligated in the prior year. So yes, we do that to make sure we use up all of the budget when possible.
And those encumbrances typically are not, January 1st or the invoices and stuff are still coming in, but they usually are done by February or March.
Or like the heart monitors or something we done this year or something.
Yes.
Right. There was, let me see, I think we got an email on it, and it was like, she wanted to my head. Oh, I know what it was. One was something to do with a part-time personnel or something, you want to split the two? Is that in the budget or?
So we actually changed that. What we were looking at doing was we had a full-time admin position that we had in the budget that we were going to split into two part-time positions. We've actually changed that. In talking with Abby, one of the things that I asked, she was not comfortable with hiring 3 new positions. So one of the questions that I asked is, would she be comfortable with us hiring 2 new positions? She said yes. So what we're looking at doing is we're looking at taking that admin position, dropping it down to a line firefighter position, and hiring 2 additional firefighters so that that would give us 11 career staff per shift.
So we're gonna move the admin person, you're just gonna split now to firefighters, right?
Correct.
And no admin at all?
Correct.
So the duties of the admin will split between shifts then?
Part of my ask of my officers is going to be for their help in picking up some of the duties that we were looking at, having those positions do, yes.
By having the extra help on shifts.
Is that common?
Is that common for the shifts to have additional things that they're doing, or the officers?
Mhm.
Yeah, you'll find that officers will have additional responsibilities that they'll do, whether or not they're specific, is relative to each department. Some departments go heavy on administrative, some departments look to go heavy on staffing. For where we lie right now, I would love to have another person in the office, 1 to 2, I think would be great. But I think our focus for getting staff needs to be a higher priority at this point because of where we're at and with where our staffing levels have been kind of balancing through the year.
The needs are equipment, personnel, space, administration. I mean, it's across the board, so you just have to, prioritize those. Obviously, we, ordered the ladder and the engine because that was a priority. Those are, were in need of being upgraded. So we did that, and we hired the 6 last year. Now, luckily, we can, hire 3 more for next year.
Well, then going back to the general fund, I think it was part-time help or something, does that mean increased a little to get, if you need somebody to come in there, or is there room to increase that from somewhere?
I think from our perspective on the fire side, the part-time the positions that we were looking at doing would have been specific, and I think would have needed to have been at the rate that we were talking about in order to be successful. So I don't know that there's additional funds in the budget as it stands right now to do an increase for that position to offset the difference.
All right. Now, the other 2 items was one that the union is gonna be asking for. I don't know if that's, I'd say it had to be in the budget somewhere, if it was gonna be an additional appropriation for $2,000 for retiring fire people for 5 years to help with insurance and something to do with health plan, or no, was it,
Gym membership?
yeah, gym memberships. Now, is that reflected in the budget somewhere now, or is it?
It is not.
Okay.
There were so many other things that got added this year. We upped the HSA contribution, not by much. We,
Was it like $60?
what's the pro health? So it's called
Protein.
a protein, benefit, over here, everyone.
The 3% increase and then looking at adding additional staff per shift were the big things that contributions that we were looking at for this year.
Do we know how to do anything for union tonight, correct? That can be, okay, because that's not until, when is that? Do we have a deadline for that one? That's not, I don't know.
The contract expires at the end of the year.
Okay, okay.
They have a process.
So we have, we have,
They have to send it off to,
but we have like a
legal.
September 1st, then we have a we have other deadlines.
Yes.
So let's stick with, I would prefer we stick with this first.
Okay.
And then we'll,
I thought it had to be something. So that's good.
Worst case, if you all decide that the union contract needs to be signed and additional money granted, next year we'll just do an additional appropriation, or if there's funding left over this year, we'll encumber it. So that's not, you don't have to include, but that's to basically say you don't have to worry about having the union agreement signed before you finalize the budget.
Everybody good with the budget? The rolling up discussion?
I just want to make sure we're good with cemeteries. I know that was like a big, huge thing previously, but I see that this line item's still the same. So we're feeling like we've leveled out there and we're good.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to spend probably $7,000 on tree work. I've got 4 trees down, in some various places, and, tree work's stupid expensive. And so,
But it stayed the same, so you feel like we're still
yes,
good?
it's good, it's fine.
Okay.
That's, who does that? The mowing and stuff?
Who does what?
I know you sent me an email. The mowing?
The mowing, Zach Zumwalt does the mowing.
Good.
Of course, he's done that for, as long as I've been here, I don't know.
Nothing against him, but does anybody go check what he does?
I drive by, I mean, as much as you can tell that it's knee high or not, or whatever.
I can tell you the one at SNH is a mess, so it still is, so.
I passed that on, and I think he sent a note back. I mean, that's,
And there's branches all over.
all I can do is ping him and we got the trees that were down on
I'm sure he
these.
didn't pay for each one for every time he mows, I'm sure he did, unless he does on something, I don't know how he contracts written, but, because I never seen one like that.
Just so you know too, that, Center Township, put that out for bid last year, I think. And, Zach did not win the bid for Center Township stuff, but all of the other bids were $10,000 or $12,000 more, higher than what some of the cemeteries are bigger, some of them are smaller, some of them have more, some have less. We are not spending, what has been, budgeted wholly, for, he's been very reasonable, in my opinion, is the work that's being done in the cemeteries. Looks like we still might, be picking up 2. And there's still room in the budget, even if we pick up 2 more and he picks those up and charges us for those, there's still room in the budget to accommodate that.
So we're picking up the one that I found, where's the other one?
Maybe. Dunn Cemetery at the end of the runway. Out here, currently, the airport is mowing that. And I told them that it really does belong to the township, but I don't have a deed and no one can produce a deed. And so I'm not gonna take care of property that I don't have a deed for, right? So I told them if they want us to take care of it, then they can track down the deed.
There's
And
not even a
then,
road to it,
what's that?
there's not even a road to it. You gotta drive back to that.
Right.
Stuff to get
Yeah,
there.
it's hard to get to. The guy that mows for the airport is not too happy about having to take a hand mower back there, because, he mows with an 8-foot or whatever, gang mower here, and then he's gotta take a hand mower back there for that. I'm not opposed to taking it over again. I cannot find, no one is able to produce a deed. The cemetery commission has looked into it, as well. And so the only thing to do, because it's on airport property and I don't have documentation that we own it. And so that's the same reason that Jack didn't take care of it either. So I'm following in those footsteps, that if we can get a deed for that, we'll take care of it.
Is this a 50 by 100 cemetery or is this?
It's little, I don't even know.
It's 1 acre.
Is it?
Okay, 200 by 200.
The other one is the Snyder, and evidently that development for Cumberland Lennar is having problems nationwide. And so as you notice, as we're driving home, that the grass is shoulder high, in that field right now.
Yeah,
Cumberland is mowing, just the edge of the road so that it's not dangerous for traffic, but that field is a mess, and so they're not sure what Lennar's gonna end up doing. So that cemetery sits there as it, right now, it's Cumberland property and they're taking care of it because they annexed it. So, and again, I don't have a deed to it and made the deal with them kind of preliminarily that when that development started, that if they would deed that to us, plus if it's mid-year, they've got to give us a stipend because of our budgeted, you know, so anyway, they're all aware of that. We're working with Cumberland on that.
Yeah.
All right, let's open it up for public discussion and comments for the budget. Anybody got any? That's a quiet bunch.
If you wanna get out of here, you gotta close it quick.
Now they might think of something. So I will close the public hearing for comments on the budget presentation. So that concludes the public hearing for the budget. It's my understanding we have vote on it in October meeting, right?
Yes. Kenny, if you would allow, I've got two quick things and Brandon has two quick things, that just need
Yeah, so
a,
where you guys are at out here.
This
No.
whole business?
No, she forgot to put you on there. Oh,
one's an income, if you don't wanna hear about it, an exciting,
Tell us about the income.
Let's put it under old business. Go
we
ahead.
sold three ambulances. The net, after the sale and their, cut of it was $55,699.20. That was deposited promptly, and, so that sits in cash reserves until we decide, if we decide to appropriate or whatever, for that. Those were, three of the four of the five.
There's only one.
Yeah, that's what I thought. There's three of the four that were back in the back lot. Those were.
Now, we got 55. Did we put some money in those before we got?
I think we sent them out and it was $200 or $300 a piece to have them just evaluated and minor things taken care of.
Okay.
So one of them had a horrible knock, the other one had over 120,000 miles on it. The third one was actually decent, and they each pulled in just over, it was right at 20 going to a company out east. So we ended up very fortunate on how that worked out compared to our last one.
At your suggestion, I contacted Electric Plus for generator information. Guy came out and submitted a proposal. They are not, this is a technicality, they're not state QPA, but they are author. He sent me a whole big thing. Yes, it qualifies for the three quotes. Gordian is the name of whatever group it is that they belong to, and they do work for Department of Administration, Department of Corrections, State Police, BMV, Department of Revenue, Public Schools, et cetera. So anyway, we have a quote for the replacement of the generator down at Two's. It is under what we thought, it was under what we thought it was going to be, or what we had planned for, which was $100,000 in the capital improvement plan. So it came in at $63,900. If you would, one of the things that's not included in their quote is shift work or overtime. And so if you would allow me a little bit of leeway in that and allow me to spend up to not to exceed amount of maybe 70 on the from the 63,900 up to $70,000 to get the generator replaced down to Two's.
And I think if I remember, you wouldn't have to get any other bids because
Correct.
they're not really QPA, I know, but there's something to do with
Yes.
some Jolly thing.
Yeah, and I've got his letter, and I would keep that, you know, which is his explanation that it does meet the three quote, recommendations by the state or requirements by the state.
They do good work on that, just from all of them.
It's a McAllister, it's a 40 kilowatt, which is what we have down there now. It's a McAllister generator. They are gonna install a remote annunciator panel. And they're going to refeed the compressor from the existing panel. They're gonna disconnect the existing generator and remove and dispose of the old generator.
Do we need to make a motion, or is that something
I just
that's
need a,
appropriate?
Just a
thumbs up.
verbal,
Yeah.
yes, no.
I'm good, I'm good with it. Just-
We'll do, how about we'll do a visual for everybody looking, thank you. And then Brandon's got two quick things as
Is
well.
that be replaced here too, same time?
Yeah, the lead time on this is 24 weeks. We can pay for it, and then when it comes,
Okay.
yeah,
So we can
or we can encumber the money from 25 into 26 to pay for it, because we've got, I will pay for that out of Township capital, 57,000 of it, will come out of Township capital, and then 6,900 will come out of rainy day.
So I've got three things I'll try and rapid fire. One of the questions that was asked at the last meeting was in regards to our in and out of county rates. So yes, the in and out of county rates did go into effect on 1/11/25. In talking to the billing company, and I've got the email if you'd like to see it, where he says that there was not a significant increase, but we have seen an increase. He said he would have to dive in a little bit deeper because it looks at the individual payers, not just the zip codes. So Medicaid, Medicare, we're not going to get any more regardless of what we charge, simply for the fact that they have a cap on what they can do. So it's going to be the private pay, and it's going to be some of the insurance pays that we would see that increase. But he said that the increase was relatively negligible. If you'd like specific numbers, I can ask them to run that report. When he had gotten, by the time we had been able to sync up and get back, he wasn't going to have time to be able to get it for tonight. So if you'd like those specific numbers, I can ask him to create a report and run that for the next meeting.
I just brought it up because it was something we had discussed to see if that was gonna be of any benefit. And then we talked about that at the 6-month mark, we would look at it, and then I think we both missed it. And so I just remembered. And so, because we discussed if it wasn't something that was being of benefit, what's the next step we were gonna do? And so that's why I was bringing it right back around to see, is it of being any benefit? And if not, then what's the next step?
I don't know that we make any change. It's not going to hurt us. So if we go back to one rate, the billing company doesn't charge us differently for looking at that. So it's the same from their perspective. So at this point, I would say that we leave it. And then when we go to reevaluate the rates for the EMS billing, we can take a look and see if we need to increase that difference or keep the same gap that we have currently. But I would say just for right now, it is increased a little bit of revenue, a little bit something. So I'll take every bit that we can get at this point. The next two things that I have are similar to the request that Mickey made. The first one is it's referenced as it's an Hancock system, which is an air filtration system. One of the things that we currently do not have in our bays is a diesel exhaust system. And so what this is there are two types of systems that you can look at. One is the hoses that hang down that have to be connected to the trucks. The problem with Station 72 is trying to get the hose in alongside of where that truck lies, I think would be difficult with the spacing that's there. So what this system is it's a passive system that runs continually to filtrate the air in the bays. And then when a truck starts and moves through a sensor, it kicks into a high gear and starts exchanging the air that's in there. And so I'd like to move forward on getting the company that we looked at doing is MagnaGrip. We have applied for federal grants for this before and have not gotten the federal grants. So it's time, I feel, that we move forward on doing something. This is one of the items that was listed on the capital improvement plan for this year. With doing the air filtration system for both stations, the cost that I'm asking for approval is not to exceed $125,000. The quote comes in at about 121. I'm a believer of asking, as Mickey had talked about, for a little bit in case they get in and find that there's something that they didn't anticipate. So I've got a copy of the quote, and I would just ask that you guys would approve me to go ahead and sign the quote to get the purchase and install of the system.
And this is for the exhaust system?
So this isn't
what you
using,
have listed for 200,000,
correct.
but you're saying it's coming in at one.
So the air filtration system is at 125. If we look at doing the air filtration system along with doing the drop hoses, The drop hoses is going to be about another 100, I believe it was 140,000. So I figured this was going to be our best first step. And then we can evaluate and see how that goes. And then if we need to look at doing the drop hoses, we can look at doing that as well.
So in the other station, that will be an air filtration system. Here will be a drop hose.
Both stations would be an air filtration system to start. So that would be the first step that I'd be looking at doing.
And eventually go to the hose thing.
What's that?
You eventually talking about going to the hose?
Potentially. Like I said, I think station 2 is going to be a challenge with getting the hose with the way that they follow along the track. I think it's going to be difficult. The other thing that you run into, and the reason that I like this system, is that it doesn't require firefighter intervention, whereas the hose system requires them hooking the hose back up to the truck as they come in, remembering to hook it back up. And I can tell you from working at departments previously that have had those systems, they don't get hooked up as frequently as you would think they do. So this is a passive system that is constantly working, and then it kicks into a high gear when there's a sensor that's crossed, or if it detects that the CO levels start to increase.
Because I know nothing about this. We say yes to this and you decide that you need the hoses. Is that all interchangeable? Like it's all able to be?
So it would go in conjunction with, it would work. Your options are is you can do one, the other, or both. And so
you're saying you can build off of it?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, this system is independent of the hose system. But this is a first step, as we don't have really anything that's in place in the bays as it stands right now.
You really don't idle the trucks in the bays, do you?
No, the trucks should only be started and pulled out of the bays, and when the truck checks are being done, that's all being done outside of the bays. So correct, there should not be any, the only time that you've got exhaust coming is when the trucks are starting and when they're backing in and shutting down.
So in essence, you're doing more than you're doing with the hose system.
Well, the hose system's going to
because you don't idle.
The hose system's going to be an active capture, so as soon as you start the truck, it's sucking the exhaust right out of the building. So it's an active system where this is passively filtering the air, and then it kicks up or ramps up. Think of it like your second stage on your furnace. When a truck is going in or out, it will kick up to a second stage, and then if it detects, then it will kick up to a second stage as well.
And it requires filter changes, right?
Correct. So every 6 months, there's a filter. The filters run about $200 a piece. And then every 2 years, there's a filter that we would have them come out to replace and service at the same time. In doing research on the system, I did reach out to the city of Lawrence. They had installed this at the station 38 when they had built it new. The feedback that I had gotten from them is that initially they had some problems and found out there was a control board issue. And once that was taken care of, the systems work great. And they like the fact that it's a passive system so that it doesn't require human intervention for it to be activated or to work successfully.
What about this? It's cleaning the air all the time, really.
Correct.
So does it require, have to have 3 beds?
So they are a Sourcewell provider. So with Sourcewell, then the pricing would not require the 3 beds, to my knowledge.
Do these add-on items need to go or not? Says additional add-on.
Yep, and I included that in the request price. Those are the sensors. So one is a vehicle sensor. So as the vehicle goes out, it's detecting that there should be an exhaust dump, or as a vehicle comes in. And so it runs up the systems so that it runs higher for a set period of time, 15 to 20 minutes. And then the second is a CO sensor, so that it's actively monitoring the CO within the bays. So if we have an increase, then it will automatically kick on as well to start filtering.
These are added on to 121.
Yeah, the 125 is what the red numbers that they put on there was for, suggested for if you're doing a grant.
Okay.
Because they know the time frame on the grants, so.
So if we say yes to this, we're looking at 3 months.
Honestly, I didn't ask what the lead time was. I would envision that you're probably looking to 2 to 3 months. But when we talked about that, I did not ask on lead time.
Sure, 3 months, because it says due for 90 days, so sure, that's their fault if it's over, right?
Well, if we sign the quote's gonna be valid. If you guys give me the okay, I'll call him and arrange getting the quote finalized and that price is going to be set. It doesn't mean it'll be installed within that 90 days. It just means that their price is valid for 90 days of now. So if we go ahead and say, yep, we want to purchase, then it's going to be based off of the quote price that we have now. The reason that I asked for a little bit, I'll always ask for a little bit more, is just because if they get in there to do electrical and they find that there's something that needs to be corrected, it covers that cost.
Both this purchase and the next one that he's asking about is, comes out of fire capital equipment purchase, and it will cover both of these projects wholly.
Okay.
You're asking for another one?
I've got another one. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
He's going at 80.
Yeah, I know why.
So you just need to do a visual thumbs up if you're okay with that, please.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
We're good.
Okay. I think they need to get that stuff sucked out of there anyway.
The next quote is going to be for fire gear. We have fire gear in the capital improvement plan. The cost is going to be a little different. When we look at doing the cost, I think we were looking at about 120. The ask is going to be for 175, not to exceed 175 on this quote. Couple of things. One is that we're looking at 33 sets of gear. With this purchase, we're looking at doing 41 sets of gear, and that's why there's part of the increase that we're looking at doing. One of the asks that came back, we had a committee that was formed with our quartermaster and with some people that went through and actually tested a bunch of gear up to and including doing live fire burns in the training simulator in Greenfield to pick the spec that they wanted to go with. And so with all of that, one of the asks from the crew is if we would be willing to purchase fire gear for our part-timers that are essentially full-time part-timers. And so with this purchase, we're looking at 2 sets per shift for our part-time, our full-time part-timers so that we can put them into new gear as well. There's a second piece to this. Again, this would also be covered out of the capital purchases. The second piece to this is that I'm also working on an alternate funding source. That alternate funding source has not come through yet. I have a meeting later this week that I'm hoping to have some more insight to where either part or all of this may be covered. The intent would be looking at some of the developers that we have within the township that may be willing to contribute to the purchase of this gear. The problem we're running into is that twofold. One is that we're going to see about a $7,000 increase on the gear if we don't. The next price increase goes in at the end of the month. And so it's about a $7,000 increase on the total cost of this purchase if we don't look at doing it before then. And so I'm trying to get ahead of that curve. The second problem that we're going to run into is we have gear that is starting to reach end of life. Fire gear is rated to be able to be used in structural firefighting for 10 years. And so for our staff to have 2 sets of gears, we're looking at the primary set to be new, secondary set to be about the 5-year mark. Well, we're at that point where we're at the 3 to 4 year and the 8 to 9 year mark. So by the time we go through this process, get everybody fitted, get the gear in, we'll be ending at the end of the life cycle of the backup gear.
So then you'll try and get in 5 years, another set, so you just keep.
So part of what I've done is within the capital improvement plan is we have built in purchases for gear throughout. So the intent is so that we're not running into this every 5 years where we're looking at doing a major purchase on fire gear. We're buying a couple sets of gear each year to keep us from ending up back into this cycle again. So we're not going to be fully out of that cycle, but that's the anticipation, is to try and help. And that also balances out, like we talked about, the capital improvement plan so that the expense isn't all loaded into 1 year. It's balanced out over multiple.
And you had this budget to be completed, correct? I mean, it's on here,
It is. I think I had a budget at 130.
132.
Yep.
And you're saying it's gonna be 175.
Correct. The quote amount was 169. I would rather.
You said, okay, that's okay, so 175. The other one you had for 200,000, it came in at 125.
Correct.
Okay, so you're still well within what you were projecting.
Mhm.
Okay.
You're choosing this vendor because?
So this goes back to the quartermaster and the committee that was put together. I had no involvement in this process whatsoever. As a matter of fact, my quartermaster hounded me because he did a survey through the whole department asking for opinions on the gear, and I was the last one to go and give an opinion. So they were looking at manufacturers, and they had multiple manufacturers of gear. I actually had the reps coming out. The manufacturers actually sent gear to the crews. They sized and fit gear to the crews to allow them to go do the training, to put it on, put it through the test. And so the committee came back and said that this was the manufacturer that they wanted to go with, the spec that they wanted to go with, which led us to the vendor. And so from the vendor side of things, the vendor is a Sourcewell vendor. This pricing is not Sourcewell pricing. It is actually better than Sourcewell pricing. And so from that perspective, we're sitting in a good seat from that perspective as well.
And they're getting what they want.
Yes.
And we use this vendor for lots of other things too.
Eddie was on that committee, what was Chris? So there's two, and they can, the poll was put out, the committee made their recommendations, and then they did a survey of the whole. I have to praise Lieutenant Fontaine, because he latched onto this like a dog on a bone. And he has got documentation that shows what the feedback was, why this is what they went with, the differences in it. And then he's actually working on the documentation to get back to both manufacturers of what they liked and didn't like about each. So he was very thorough in working with the committee and getting the information and making sure that this is what we wanted to go with.
If you're looking at a 10-year cost basis,
Mhm.
and these guys are happy,
Mhm.
happy firefighters make life easy.
Absolutely.
Well, I didn't, as long as you keep them on a 5-year plan too, so, after 10 years, do this, so.
Right, and that's the goal, is again, looking in the plan, we've put gear in that plan. It's not going to equal out to the full amount, but it's at least trying to chip away at this so that we're not looking at 175 or 200,000 in another 5 years.
So you just need another thumbs up?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we're good.
Perfect, thank you. Unless you have anything for me, we're full staffed. Life is going well. We had an officers meeting yesterday, and it was a great meeting. I think we got some good feedback and some good things going on that I will be happy to report to you in November, because I will not see you in October. So I'll have Chief McFall give you an update in October.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You have any other business?
Mickey, thank you very much for getting on the generator. I appreciate it.
Like I said, when he gave me the quote, I'm like, okay.
So thank you for getting.
I had to run around and ask, so the exceptions to this or this, is that important?
Very good.
Welcome.
Thank you so much.
They're a very good company there.
Thanks for I literally was struggling with vendors.
There's not a lot of people do that, so.
And this is a really small generator for that company.
Yeah.
He said, this is it?
You'll see our generator.
Yeah.
Any old business? Brandon took care of
I
that.
do.
Old business?
Contract stuff, old business. Just real quick. I know I sent you guys an email yesterday. The proposed changes in red was the stuff that we as the union had asked for, and then there's the cost associated with those two. Anything in red is that, other than the last page that has those three things that we're asking for, everything else above it was the stuff that has been essentially agreed upon between Mickey and myself as the union. Those three things at the bottom were new things added. Those are really important to our staff, because there's an email chain that goes out every day called the secret list, and it is line of duty desks across the country. And if you guys ever want to inquire why I'm pushing those things, join that list, because about 80% of those are occupational cancer related or cardiac related. So that is why I want to do that $2,000 benefit, because it is very important to give the peace of mind to our firefighters when they retire that we're going to take care of them on the back end. I understand that retirees insurance is astronomically high. So I'm trying to do the best that I can to give something to our guys when they give us 20 plus years. The free membership for spouses, we currently have a program that us as firefighters have free membership, Hancock Wellness. It's been great. I think almost everybody in our department that lives in the county has signed up for it. I have been approached, a lot of the spouses love the fact that we have a discounted rate and they're not complaining. But I'm trying to get to where the spouses are free too. I know if my wife goes to the gym with me more, I'm gonna tend to go more. And, you know, a happy family is a healthy family, or a healthy family is a happy family. And we can, you know, try to reduce as much of those cardiac or cancer related issues, because the benefit of the Hancock Wellness membership is you get a lot of free assessments from trainers, dietary plans. You can get a body assessment, and they can do a lot of health preventative things that doctors' offices are going to charge you for. The cost was not astronomical. The $2,000 benefit was going to be $60,000 over 5 years if all 8 of our firefighters that are eligible for retirement decide to retire January 1. The gym membership was going to be a $12,000 added cost to the department. Again, I think all costs at the end of the day would benefit us more than it would hurt the department or the township. And I think you'll see health costs, I feel health costs on the township end for claims and stuff go way down, because you have firefighters and their spouses wanting to be healthy. So I just wanted to give you guys a quick update on that. You guys have my number and my email. I'm more than happy to reach out, or you guys can reach out to me with any questions, comments, concerns. I'll be back here next month I will be on the agenda if you guys want to go into more depth about the stuff in the contract, as we can do page by page or whatever. So thank you guys, appreciate it.
Let's take care of the first one, the first presentation, take care of that in the budget, right?
Yes.
Jennifer, do you have anything?
No.
Andy?
No, not for.
Why don't you make a motion to adjourn this thing?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
The motion is made and seconded, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
So our neighbors from Sugar Creek. They have 60